So we used to only use a Sales Navigator to create all the lists of who the people we were going to reach out to on LinkedIn. And for years, it worked really great. But the game on LinkedIn has changed so much since we've been doing this process. I've been running LinkedIn campaigns since probably about 2015 now. I have built many offers, I've made a lot of money off the platform, but I saw a huge shift start to happen in the end of 2024. And I literally spent the entirety of 2025 rewriting everything that we do on how we generate results on LinkedIn. And a lot of the big problem was Sales Navigator. So I don't want to make Sales Navigator out to be like this big bad guy, because like it's still a big part of our workflow. I think one of the most powerful things about Sales Navigator is the ability to see profile views. So it's not the fact that we label it the bad guy. The problem is that it's just no longer the star of the show. And I really wish that LinkedIn would do a better job, because there are other softwares out there that we use that we pay a lot more money for than we've ever paid for Sales Navigator to get access to the kind of data that I'm going to break down for you today. But essentially, if you are still relying on Sales Navigator to be the North Star of how you build your lists to do your outreach, you are missing out on a massive, massive, massive opportunity that we have in 2026. And as I always say, we never know in marketing just how long these opportunities of ours are going to exist. So let's break down today on how you need to reevaluate how you're currently using your Sales Navigator. Okay, so the first thing that we have to understand is that Sales Navigator, obviously, it gives us the ability to do all of the demographic searching, right? We can find people based on their revenue level. We can find them what countries they're in, how long they've been in that role, the types of roles that they're in. And we can even look for things like, if they've, and this is the intent data that Sales Navigator claims to have, is, whether they have changed jobs, whether they have posted content within the last 30 days. Like, that stuff can help. I'm not going to take away and say that that type of data is garbage, because it has its place. But the one thing that it is not answering is its ability to understand who is looking for your product, who has been out there searching the internet for a product and service that you happen to sell. And that is what I call somebody being inside of the buying pocket. And that is really, really, really important data, because that is the 3% of the market who's actually ready to buy. And whether you may or may not know this, and maybe the gurus haven't shared with you yet, but at any one time, there's less than 3% of any market who's ready to buy something today. The other 97% need to be heavily, heavily nurtured. And man, that is why marketing can cost so much money. So I'm not here to say that you should ignore the 97%. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't build campaigns for just the 3%, but you need to optimize for both. The campaigns have to structure for both. But you should prioritize data to the people who are in the market right now. And unfortunately, Sales Navigator is unable to answer that question for us. So here's what we do want to use. So we use all different types of platforms and softwares that help us identify people who were looking at various podcast interviews. So the ability to see which executives were downloading and engaging with certain podcasts around the very products and services that my clients have that we do is crazy good data. Because if you just went and listened to a 2-hour podcast about the HR challenges that you currently have, and my client's tool just happens to solve that challenge, I want to do everything in my power to make sure that we reach and have a conversation with that executive. Because here's what's happening is that when people are, posting job postings, they're looking at different things in the news, they're searching things on Instagram, they're searching and engaging with content on LinkedIn, on all these different places that we can scrape. That person has entered into a buying pocket. They are doing research. They're typically doing this research before they start engaging with our other competitors and with other vendors to start solving this problem. So I'm really having an opportunity to catch this person at the most perfect time. So that's the kind of data that I want to optimize for. So gone are the days where we would just spray and pray and send out 100 connection requests per day. And that is why it worked, because LinkedIn, whether you know this or not, depending on how long you've been doing a LinkedIn strategy, you used to be able to send like over 100 connection requests per day, which is crazy. And so like if you were only getting a 1% response rate, like that's okay, because you could just automate it. You could just see, okay, who wants to buy my stuff today? And if I get one person back every single day, well, that's 5 people a week. That's, 25 people every single month. Those are fantastic numbers. But those numbers are not allowed anymore. The max that you can send on LinkedIn is 40 connection requests per day. And frankly, like that is really only being allowed on a very highly used profile. Somebody who has a very high SSI score, also known as the social selling index score. You use the account a lot, you post content, you're commenting, you're getting lots of incoming connection requests. Lots of people are saying yes to the connection requests that you are putting out. It's a well-used account, AKA that is what my profile does. But I've been doing this for a long time, and this is a service that I offer. So of course my SSI score would be that way. Most people do not have a high enough SSI score to justify the ability to send out 40 connection requests per day. So you really have to figure, okay, if I can't send that many, and this is no longer a spray and pray, who the connection requests go to, the value of that just went up crazy amounts. Because now it's not about maximizing out, because if you're like the average Joe out there, you're able to send 15 to 20 connection requests per day without getting your account in trouble. So with those 15 to 20 requests per day, you want to make sure that they're going to people who are actively searching for products and services like yours, and also meet the filters of a score of a lead. So they have the right demographics, so they have the right titles, the right revenue, the right location, the right industry, etc. So the same filters that you used to use on Sales Navigator to tell you this is a potential lead, you can cross that against something where somebody has shown us a signal. So you do use all different kinds of platforms to do that. We also use AI to help us score the leads to ensure that this is a good lead, so that we can send it through a little bit of automation to get the connection request and to get that conversation started. But let me tell you how easy it is to know that when somebody went and downloaded and had a conversation around a certain podcast interview or a certain piece on LinkedIn, starting off that conversation becomes so much easier, and you're not met with these like really visceral reactions when you reach out to somebody who just happened to meet a filter and you're offering them a service for them to buy. This is why people just get so tired of LinkedIn, because it's like, I don't even have that problem. Why did you even reach out to me? This is not something that I want to buy. So if we look at these two graphs here, we've gone from really large lists, really generic messages, 2 to 3% is honestly very, very high. Like really, we've seen much, much lower than what it used to, when you do these high spray and pray methods, and just really high volume required. And those days are over. They're gone. And what we now focus on is very small lists, hyper relevant messages to start the conversation. We look for really high reply rates. Like using this data, we typically see anywhere from a 60 to 80% reply rate, which is crazy. And just low volume required. We're no longer trying to optimize and maximize how many connection requests per day. We're really just optimizing for as much intent data that we could possibly get. So when we go to somebody and we know that they have a certain challenge, we're not creating that up from thin air. We've identified that this is somebody who meets a specific filter. We've identified a signal that they've put out there, and that there is some layered intent that has been put out there that we know that this person could possibly need our help. So if you're looking to do this for your business and you want to move with buyer advantage, you want to find those people, the 3% who are in a buying pocket, I'm looking for 2 more partners to take on in the next quarter, where I do a revenue share partnership. So I only take a percentage of the deals that I help generate with my systems. My systems include what we do on outbound, as well as paid, as well as organic. So we do an entire engineered approach to the businesses that we work with. Do understand that if you book that call, it's just a quick 15-minute introductory call, just so that you and I can get a chance to understand each other's businesses and to see if a next call would make sense. If it does, we'll book a next call where it's about an hour long, and we'll dig much, much deeper into the strategy. This is just a quick initial call to make sure, is there a possibility that I would know how to scale your business? Could I be confident in that? And then if so, we'll move on to the next step. So if that sounds like you and you're ready for some serious scale in 2026, book a call with me down below. You'll speak directly with myself. I'm not going to pass you off to some setter or some closer. I go very carefully through for these revenue share partnerships. So if you made it this far in the video, don't forget to like and hit subscribe, because every single week I put out new videos just exactly how we're winning with platforms like LinkedIn and Meta to book B2B sales calls.